everybody, Complete Pete here, welcome. This morning I'm working on a outdoor motion sensor floodlight setup. Kind of nice, it comes on when it sees you or sees motion. It doesn't work. We tried what we think is the correct switch. So one of the things, and I'm just helping out today, so one of the things I suggested was testing the bulbs to make sure it's just simply not a couple of bad bulbs. That's where I would start. These are pretty old. I'm going to use my Fluke T Plus Pro. They might have a newer model of this, and I'll tell you, this is available at like Lowe's, Home Depot. It's a Fluke meter. Big fan of Fluke. I'm not a big fan of these plug-in testers and whatnot, if you've seen some of my other videos. But it's a great meter. Does continuity, which is important, voltage tester. So, and it has a digital readout on it, so you can read voltage. This is a really handy tool for you to own. So what I'm going to do is just, we're going to test on the pin where the power goes in, and we're going to test on the shell. And you might have to scrape a little bit to get through the corrosion. So this is a good bulb. So I'm not going to bother testing the other bulb because I'm sure the problem is in this sensor. And I mean, to be frank with you, like, changing a bad sensor, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to do that. Some of the problems come in, not so much changing the sensor, because they do come with instructions and things like that, is, when I see things like sheetrock screws holding on a cover, that is like, I worry about what's behind this. So we want to make sure there's a box behind this and things like that. So let me get rid of these bulbs, grab some different tools, and we'll pop this cover off and see what's behind there. Okay, let's see how many screw heads break off. So I'm just going to break some of the rust, and I just want to set my tip into the screw, and I'm going to push on it pretty good. Surprisingly, that one's coming out. Let's see what it is. Well, as we had predicted, it's a black sheetrock screw. So I know black sheetrock screws are not used in electrical boxes, so that tells me we may not have anything back there, but we'll know in a second. Duct tape. Oh, it's all coming out today. Okay. So I think I'd like to see if I don't know if I can get this off or not. I think this is actually behind there. But there for sure is no box back there. I can see wood from the house. So we're going to have to go to Plan B on this and mount and get this off and mount a box on here. There is a box back there, but the wiring is coming straight through this cover. So what I did was we just stuck a screwdriver underneath the vinyl siding. Let's put this aside safely. We went under with a screwdriver. You can see the profile of the vinyl siding. All it does is it bends and it snaps under the course above. So we just stuck a screwdriver in, popped it, kind of unzipped it back a little bit, and I was able to pull out the screws that were fastening that back plate I just showed you. Here's the box, and what I did was I ended up pulling this box out, and I'm going to disconnect the cable inside, right? I have our box here. I'm going to disconnect the cable, get rid of this. I'm going to leave that hole right in there. I'm going to put that BX cable right through this hole here. I'm going to stick this back under the siding, tap the screws back in, and then we're going to mount a brand new white bell box over the top here with the cable going straight into the back of it. And we're going to eliminate any of that exposed wiring behind the siding with this wood and this foam. Okay. Well, you saw the mess we had. I've since taken the box out, taken the wiring out. I now have the cable that's going to go straight into the back of our new box, so we don't have any exposed wiring between the wall and the vinyl. We finagled this back in. I got it in. As you saw, we unzipped a little bit of the siding. This will snap right back under again. And we put this in sideways and kind of twisted it. I didn't put it back in with the roofing nails. We see we just threw a couple screws in there. Got a screw in the top. That was much easier with the extension on a cordless drill. So now it's in there nice and level. We'll get the trim ring on, and then we're gonna show how we mount the box and the fixture. Okay, we got our bell box. So this is gonna be, it's a weatherproof box. We're gonna end up just screwing it right onto this existing connector. We don't need a lock nut or anything. The box comes with some weatherproof plugs that we're just gonna put in. You could put a little bit of Teflon tape around there if you like. Some people put a little pipe dope on there if you want. I'm just throwing the plugs in for now. They give you 4, so if you're going to need more plugs, they do sell them separately. But since we're coming in the back of this box, I don't need any other closures. Okay, so that's in there. And all I'm going to do is stick these conductors through the back, one at a time with the wire nuts on, so that way I don't take them off. The power is shut off, and we'll just screw this thing right on the back. I did tighten up the connection on the DX. And that is it. So it's going to mount like that, and then I will get set up, and I'll get some mounting screws in here. Okay, so that's nice and tight. If you want to, you can also put a couple strips of wood inside of here, just silicone or glue them in if you want to give a little more rigidity, but that's pretty sturdy for what we're doing. Okay, we have our box mounted on the house. The other things we need, and these are just Amazon items. I got a Lithonia lighting floodlight housing, so that's going to come with the cover and the 2-part flood necks to match our white box. I got a outdoor motion sensor. The motion sensors are really hard to come by. I just got the one with the best rating. We'll see how it works, but not much to choose from, I'll tell you that. So, but this one had pretty good ratings. So we'll get this hooked up and we'll see how it works. We'll let you know. And then the bulbs I got are the GE Ultra Brights, also from Amazon. These are kind of cool because it's LED light. I got the daylight, so it's white, and it's only 32 watts of electricity, but it's 250 watt rating, equal to incandescent. So these are really cool bulbs. I've had an all aluminum housing on here. I've had terrific luck with these. So let me start putting this together, and I'll be with you in a second. Got everything out. Actually, the cover and socket assembly came out of the box like this, so that's pretty cool. Nothing to put together. So we have the black and the white to each of the par flood necks, and you got a green that's attached. We'll get into that later. The motion sensor came out pretty much just like that out of the packaging. So I'm going to stick that in there right now. Screw the fixture in. These things will just move a little bit. It's a little unwieldy because you have so many things going on at one time. Okay, we'll tighten those lock nuts down later. So that's kind of the orientation. The holes are going to be on a diagonal. We'll get everything straightened out later. And all these will turn, and we can aim things as we want them to go. So the back part with the wiring, we're just going to do some of this now while we have it. I know that coming from inside the house to the motion sensor is going to be the black. The black is your 120. So the white one is going to go to all the other white ones. And then we have a wire nut we're going to put on there. So I just give these a little twist. So these are going to all go together, all the whites to the white from the house. And that's this model, but it's all pretty typical. So I'm just going to get those twisted together. I'm just going to put a wire nut on it just to hold them together lightly for now. And that's going to be that. And then the blacks from the sockets. Give those a little twist. Get those together. And also the yellow. And in many motion sensors, it's a red, but this one happens to be the yellow. That is the trigger for the lights. So we're going to put that on with the blacks that go to each socket. Throw a wire nut on that to hold them together. And we're ready to mount this on the house. The only other thing we'll do is we'll get the gasket between the cover. One of the things you want to do is you need 2 diagonal holes, so you can kind of see that there's some pre-punched holes here already. If you try to put your screw in there, sometimes that foam will get wrapped around the screw and it won't thread in properly. So I'm just going to knock out the little piece that was in there. So now you can see I have 2 holes that are open. Next thing I want to do before I mount the fixture is take care of the grounding. So this is a BX cable. The BX cable is grounded by the metal sheathing. So now this box is grounded. This green screw is grounded, but I need to get a ground connection to the fixture, and I don't want to wrap this stranded wire around that screw. And I didn't have a ground tail, so I'm actually just going to use a piece of Romex cable that I had. I just cut a little piece off of, and I'm just going to pull out the ground out of that. And then I'm going to use that, bend a little loop on the end, and we'll get that mounted in there. And you may have noticed that when I bent it, I put a little kick on it. That's just so I can get it in there to get around the screw without trying to fight it this way. And you can see which way I'm putting it around the screw, so that when I tighten the screw, it'll drag the wire around this way. If you put the loop on the other way, as you tighten it, it'll unwind the copper. So I want to get it nice and tight on there. See how it drew the tip around? So now that I know that's good and tight in there. So I'm just going to fold that back. Okay, I got my ground tail. I got my ground. Sorry, I got wire nuts in my mouth. When you fasten this up, you're going to give a little twist to the copper, stranded. And when you put it on, you don't want to put it here, because as you put the wire nut on, it'll push the stranded conductors back. So when you do stranded in the solid, you always want to put the stranded a little proud of the solid conductor. And that way when you put the wire nut on, it won't push the stranded cable back and you'll have a good connection. And I can see I have a good connection because you see the wires are twisting together a little bit. So right away I'm going to fold that back into the box because I don't need that connection anymore. Next one is going to be my neutral connection. I'm getting rid of these old wire nuts. A lot of times they've been in for a while, they get oxidation inside, so it just pays to put new ones on. I'm going to get rid of the orange. I'm going to put a new yellow wire nut on there. So again, we're just going to be a little proud of the copper as we put it on. There we go, that's one. And I always connect the neutral first. It's just a kind of an old habit, a good thing to do. That's a little long for my taste. I don't want any of that copper poking out from underneath the wire nut. So again, we just want to be a little proud of the solid conductor. New wire nuts. Alrighty, and then we'll get that, get this thing all folded in there nicely. Fold in all the solids first is how I would normally do it. Kind of just get everything in there nice and neat, not pinched, making room for everything else. And it's just, we're going to slide it together. We'll line up our screw holes there. I'm going to push it right through the foam. And that's one. And the foam is going to hold it actually in place. Second screw. Gonna line up through the hole we previously opened up in the gasket. Push it right through. So now I'm good to go. Get everything pushed in there. I want to make sure we don't have any wires sticking out, getting pinched, anything like that. Okay, all right, so everything's kind of where I want it. I'm not quite sure where I want to aim the fixtures. I have a general idea. So I have the fixture next where I want them, and I'm just gonna lock down these collars. Okay, and we'll get this locked down, and we're good to go. And we'll get the bulbs right in there. The part next come with the silicone gasket. So we're just going to throw the silicone gasket right on there like that, and we're going to thread it in. And that'll help keep water out of there, though they're not pointing up, so you wouldn't get water in there to begin with. But it can't hurt. And there's going to be some setup. We're just going to follow the instructions on the setup and set up the walkthrough, but we can see if they're going to turn on. And that's it.